Okay, now that we have installed Strapi and we have it running on our machine in developer mode, we can go and create our first content type, and presumably only content type. So let's go into the content type builder and create a new collection type. We're gonna call this task. So the task is already configured to be an API ID of task. The API ID for the plural is tasks. So when we go into a list of tasks, we're gonna have the S automatically set in. And we have to make sure that when we go into advanced settings, we disable draft and publish. This is something that Strapi does for blogs and other applications that require some sort of reviewing process, in which it says, hey, there is a process that we can use to actually have a draft submitted in the database, and it's not going to be public and shown to anybody who requests it. But once it's approved, then it becomes available in the public API. We're just going to remove that because we don't need to approve our tasks. We also don't want to internationalize them, so we're not going to have the internationalization plugged in into our data type. So what do we want in here? Well, I'm sure we want to have some sort of title that we want to have, and it's a short text. We want to have a longer text, which is going to be our content. In the content is like, for example, the title is going to be buy mangoes, and the description or the content could be, oh, I really want to make this mango recipe. This is the URL that I found, blah, 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 and I really want to try it, and blah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's going to be some sort of task description. In fact, maybe description is the better way to describe this content type field. And most importantly, our date, because our task is going to have a date and presumably a time. Well, operating with time is always difficult, so I really don't want to go in that too much. This is a daily schedule kind of thing, so you sort of do need a time. I hate it. This is gonna be a big problem, and I'm just gonna solve it for you. So, okay, you're welcome, I suppose. It's just gonna be date and time. So we're just gonna call this our date, and the type is gonna be date time. This is a bit of a problem because dealing with dates and times in JavaScript is the most atrocious thing that you can ever do. And this is going to be no exception. We're going to have to make sure that the dates and the times that are selected from the front end are recorded in the back end correctly, and then they're dispatched correctly and received correctly again on the front end. You'll see what I mean later on during this crash course. For now, we'll just make sure that this is what's happening, and nothing to do here in the advance. We can make sure that it's required, but everything is going to be required from the front end, so we shouldn't, it's best practice. Let's actually make it required, and the same for the title. We don't have the description being required because who cares? Another field that we're going to add is whether or not this is completed. And completed is going to default to false, and it's not going to be required because by default, none of them are going to be completed when we make them. Or what's the point of making them? Finally, last but not least, we're gonna assign this task to our user. So we're gonna create a relation, and we're gonna have user from user permission has many tasks. So tasks is what's gonna be in the user, and here it's gonna be my owner or user. I'll call it owner because user can be confusing. So now if we save this, the server is going to restart, and we can see it here. And once it's restarted, whoa, we have the tasks. So we have our user, for example, now has tasks here, and task is here. Now, let's have a look at what this API actually does. Let's interact with it a little bit, but not immediately. We're going to do this in the next section because this is already a lot of information. So I'm just going to end this section here. And in the next section, we're going to interact with the API, both from the browser and from a special toolkit that we'll see inside Visual Studio Code. So this is it for now, and I'll see you in the next section.